In this episode, I go back and revisit Jurassic Park and rewatch Jurassic Park and try to compare it with some of my memories of reading the novel. And away we go. Welcome back to BestowCast Park. Yeah, we'll work on that. Welcome back to another episode of BestowCast. I am your host, That Pantsless Producer, Paul. I was going to capitalize on what was going to be Jurassic Park week on Bestow TV. We had the not a Jurassic Park episode of Sleepless Knights of Insomnia with Mr. Lobo, the archive that is now moving over to Bestow TV. I was going to capitalize on that by having the catch-up episode of Jurassic Park BestowCast. When it used to be a visual show, when it used to be a vodcast, I was going to do a live cast of rewatching the rebroadcast of the original live stream with myself and Riley, and then just provide commentary to mold this episode hit that you're listening to right now. But then two things. First thing was that I got sick and was kind of unable to work for about 2 weeks. And when I played catch up with the live cast, I kind of wanted to get the live streaming back on course again. I wanted to do like maybe some behind the scenes stuff with the live cast. Yeah, no. The fates worked against me on that. That stuff is going to be on hold indefinitely until I can figure out the streaming situation, because it is it's But let's get on topic, darn it. Let's get on topic. So in tonight's episode, we're talking Jurassic Park. We're talking the original Jurassic Park. We're talking the OG. Do kids even say that anymore? Is that a thing? Should it still be a thing? The original Jurassic Park that came out back in the Stone Age. See what I did there? Came out, I believe, 93. Shit. Hold, please.
Please hold the line.
And I am correct. 1993 was the original Jurassic Park. I kind of come to realize that when it comes to a lot of films, I kind of watch them once. And that's kind of it. And then it's just the memories of the ooey goodness or the memories of the yucky badness. Like looking back at like the latest Star Wars trilogy, I think I watched them once in the theater. I watched them once when I got them on physical media. And that was about it. When it comes to Jurassic Park, it's more of the Jurassic World movies. The last three movies is pretty much the same deal. I saw them in the theater. I saw them on physical media. And then that's kind of about it. It was fun watching our overview of the last Jurassic World movie. I haven't watched those movies since I bought the physical media, and that was it. I watched it once, and that was it. Moved on. Now, these original Jurassic Parks, at least the first one, more so than the second and the third one, I watched the crap out of them. I probably saw it in the theaters multiple times, and when it came out in VHS, back in the old days when things came out in VHS and Laserdisc, I probably watched the VHS quite frequently. I probably watched it quite a bit. I mean, I know I watched it quite a bit. I mean, that movie inspired me to actually read the book. I read a book at that time. It didn't take me 5 years like it took me to read. Well, I'm still reading the one Thrawn book that just came out. Well, didn't just come out. It's been out for like maybe 7 years now or whatever, and I'm only halfway through it. I read that book, and I'm pretty sure I read The Lost World, which was the sequel to that, to the book originally. I was on a Michael Crichton crackdown at that time because I also read Sphere. I way liked the novel Sphere than the movie. I knew that the movie was coming out. I'm like, I'll read the book real quick, and I read the book, and then I went and saw the movie, and book is way better. Jurassic Park was like kind of it divides, and you got to kind of understand that, media always divides, like even the MCU, where you kind of look at the stuff, some of the stuff they get close when they as close as they can get. I mean, you watch Infinity War, and I'm surprised on how close Infinity War is to Infinity Gauntlet, because I'm like, well, they skim over like him falling in love with death, and him having doing this and him doing that, and him being Thanos and all these other setups. But then there's a lot of like little nuances and little tiny bits that are kind of scattered throughout those films that are actually fairly close. Because I reread the Infinity War, or not Infinity War. There is an Infinity War comic. That's like the second. It's the sequel, Infinity Gauntlet. I reread Infinity Gauntlet right after Infinity War came out, and I was very surprised on how close that actually came to the comic books. But anyway, I went on that tangent to pretty much explain that media never really matches media, other forms of media. If books are considered media, TV, streaming, and movies don't really necessarily follow the source materials very, very strictly, but sometimes they get close. Again, that was the love for the MCU and the hate towards the DCEU, because the MCU got really close to the comics as they could, where the DCEU just did whatever the hell they felt like doing. And then you look at it now, and now I'm not even sure what the MCU is trying to do anymore. The movie inspired me to read the book, and I read the book. And very, very subtle differences. One of the big differences between the book and the movie is, of course, Ian Malcolm dies in the book, and he doesn't die in the movie. And then when they wrote the follow-up book, who follows Ian Malcolm, in the follow-up movie, which stars Ian Malcolm, stars the character Ian Malcolm, rather, the book starts off where it's like, it was widely misreported about my death. So he was thought to have died, but in the chaos, he survived. Haha, the guy who is into chaos theory was thought to be dead during the chaos. The only other things that I can remember, and again, I'm relying on a almost 40-year-old memory at this point. The Ian Malcolm thing was the one that stuck out, and Dennis Nedry's death was the other thing that really stuck out, which in the book was very, very, very gruesome. But considering like the PG-13 rating, I'm sure that they couldn't take it down that route. So watching the movie, I rewatched the movie last night. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've seen this. I probably last time I saw this was when I got it on streaming. Maybe it was last time I saw it was probably showing it to Kyra and Riley for the first time and watching it with them. And I got to say, for a movie that was kind of really early CGI, it still holds up. I mean, it's still pretty good. I mean, there's some stuff where you can kind of see. I mean, again, granted, I'm watching the standard definition version and not the HD version. I'm trying to think of like what else came out. What else came out around then? Like Lawnmower Man, or Johnny Mnemonic or whatever. Hackers. Did Hackers have? Hackers had, because they were in the cyberspace. They were on the net hacking, and the cyberspace looked like shit. I'm surprised the graphics held up. I know, like at the time, I remember reading a lot of the behind the scenes books of how, like, it wasn't 100% leaned on as far as CGI goes. That their practical effects mixed in, so they intermingled them when necessary. Me being a film buff and being a person who wanted to do this for a living, I can kind of pick out some of the scenes, this is digital and that's the real thing, that they have all the leaf coverings to cover the fact that this velociraptor is a puppet. But it still looks good. It's still an enjoyable movie, even though it's a Steven Spielberg movie and it's got that Steven Spielberg feel. There's parts of it that make it feel different than, say, like Indiana Jones. I don't know what it is. I mean, I know like some of the stuff that I kind of noted was like some of the sets. It just seemed like they were in a sound studio and weren't really. It was, I guess they were saving the budget for the CGI or for whatnot. But some of that kind of stuck out a little bit to me. Where if this was Indiana Jones, they would have been in the Jurassic period shooting this with real dinosaurs. Like that opening scene, the shooter, that's that really iconic scene, and it still sticks out to me where it feels like a set. The lighting is weird because everybody's lit from the ground up instead of I granted that they're at night and they're at a construction site and everything, but it kind of just sticks out where it's lit kind of weird. But moving on was another element that kind of really stuck out that I kind of forgot about. Forgot how much of a big deal this was. This was everything. In 93, I was still in high school. And I remember how chaos theory and fractals were a big thing that was brought on either by the novel or by the movie. I'm assuming it's by the movie at this point. But all that stuff was really, really like that was everywhere. Like books written on chaos theory at this point in time. I don't know, like if it was there before the Jurassic Park novel or before the Jurassic Park movie. It wasn't as noticeable until after that movie came out. As a matter of fact, the first independent film that I worked on, that was a main point. That was a main point in that series. The air quotes bad guy believed in chaos theory, and the air quotes good guy was a witch. Witchcraft and chaos theory could be the same thing, you know. That's how ingrained this was that this was a plot point for an indie movie at that time, a 90s indie movie at that time. I forgot about how much of a big deal that was, and then all of a sudden you don't really hear much about that anymore. That kind of went away. You don't really. I mean, occasionally you can stumble across like fractals or whatever online, but not really. I don't really hear too much about. I mean, I guess because we live in an age of chaos at this point, that you don't really hear much about chaos theory anymore. Was it found to be defunct, or is that an elective at college? Can you take that at college nowadays? Please comment below. Whatever happened to chaos theory? I remember this being a part of the books. Is this ever mentioned in the movies? They made all the dinosaurs female, but they also denied them an enzyme. So if anything ever happened to the park, or if they got loose or got away, without this enzyme, they would pass away. Now I'm sure like the Lost World may have covered this, and it's just a point that I'm missing. But they do express this. It's kind of a single line towards the end of the movie, where they say that they denied the dinosaurs this enzyme, and if anything happens, they're going without human interaction, without the scientists, they were going to die. And 5 movies later, we forget this. Like this is never brought up. This is never an issue. I mean, I know like there's a Site B, Lost World. Well, I think even Jurassic Park novel itself talked about Site B. So Lost World kind of takes place in Site B. I don't know if Site B were unmodified, like if they had those enzymes or whatever, because Site B was kind of their testing grounds. So I don't know. I mean, and I know like Jurassic World, I think it's the second one is where they go to Site B. See, now I got to go back and watch those movies. Maybe this might be a thing. This might be I might be working this out across 5 more episodes. If you like that, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you don't like that, please hit the thumbs up button anyway. I don't recall that being an issue. Again, like it could be a throwaway line in Jurassic World. It could be just a thing that's just a reboot kind of thing where, well, when we're going to make sequels of this, we're just going to ignore this thing because otherwise these creatures would be dead. It's a thing where, like the T-Rex throughout all the movies, all the way up to the newest movie, is the same T-Rex from the first movie. And it's like, if that T-Rex is missing the enzyme, then that T-Rex should not be alive. It shouldn't be a thing. Which is, to me, when the Jurassic World series came out. Now, again, granted that we're still dealing with the same scientist, I should say. I don't know if probably the same scientists is probably easy to say. There's probably more than just the one guy. They're all working on the new dinosaurs. But my impression is that they were obviously life finds a way. Through chaos theory, life finds a way. And they start breeding. They start having babies, and that's kind of my impression of like when we got to by the time we got to Lost World, or not Lost World, but Jurassic World, I should say. When we get to Jurassic World, I just kind of assumed that they were breeding. Although I don't know if it's ever established in the movies. Besides the Lost World, there is a T-Rex and the T-Rex baby that comes stateside and gets loose. So I guess, but that dinosaur, that T-Rex was from Site B. I don't think that's not the T-Rex. So I just assumed that they were just breeding out of control and eventually would probably evolve to not need that enzyme. I'm probably nitpicking at this point. I like I said before, is like I want to go see a dinosaur movie to see a dinosaur movie. Kind of don't really care too terribly much about everything else. I mean, it's like, you don't go to see a Godzilla movie to learn about the love interest in the between the male and female characters, or the male and male characters, or the female and female characters, or what have you. You go there to see Godzilla destroy buildings. I mean, that's the point. And I kind of feel like Jurassic Park's you go there to see dinosaurs. So I guess to kind of get over that whole like, oh, they're missing the enzyme. I guess you're going to have to look over that point or gloss over that point, or again, it might have been a throwaway line, or it may have been a plot point that I just flat out missed the first time around. Just so that you could have more Dino Roar sequels. I spared no expense. A phrase that he commonly, John Hammond commonly throws around in the books. He commonly throws around in the movies. He spares no expense, but except for when it comes to Dennis Nedry. Then, Dennis Nedry, screw you. I spare all expenses for the guy that runs the security on our parks. That's kind of a weird thing, that the guy would splurge for anything and everything, but the man who's in charge of his security. And again, I know plot's got a plot. Story's got a story. But he's not going to pay Dennis Nedry, who's going to screw them all over in the end, and he's going to steal the embryos and take them away and get paid better. I mean, Dennis Nedry might have been getting paid top dollar, and he probably wants even more money. There's probably a limit to what he was willing to be paid, what Hammond was willing to pay him. But yeah, just a kind of a thing that kind of sticks out to me, where it's like, I'll spare no expense except for when it comes to Nedry. I believe like the book, or the whole thing with the weather was that there was a hurricane coming by, which was more damaging than what happens in the movie. They have I guess they have a light tropical shower that lasts like an hour, and that's it. They probably don't want to film in the rain, I guess, for the entirety of the movie. So you got to have some daylight to show off their CGI gallimimuses. That's about all I have to nitpicks. Did I miss anything? Is there anything that you guys wanted to hear me talk about and I didn't mention? Please put it in the comments below. Overall, this is still a top movie for me. I don't know if it's a number one movie for me, but it is a top movie. Oh, one of the things I did notice in the movie, if you watch the version of BestowCast where we were showing off the toys, or I re-uploaded the live stream, the original live stream that has everything uncut, we were talking about the stuffed animals that I had won in an arcade. Those stuffed animals are in the movie. So I was kind of bouncing back and forth where it's like I didn't know if these stuffed animals were official Jurassic Park merchandise or if they were bootlegs. But yeah, they're totally in the movie. They're not in the movie in the capacity of how I have them. I have them that they are colored to look like the Dino Roars. In the movie, there's a scene where there's a trucking shot where they're going through like the gift center, and they have these stuffed animals in the shelves with the t-shirts and everything else, but they are neon colored in the movie, which is kind of an interesting difference, is that they were neon green and neon orange and everything else. But I saw the Triceratops and some of the other things that I had brought out in the live stream, and I'm like, hey, that famous meme with that guy where he's pointing at the TV with the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV, like, hey, there's that thing. Yeah, that thing. I still like it. I think I'm going to continue with Jurassic Park 2, and we'll bring Jurassic Park 2 back in a future episode. And then maybe I will start to rank them. Right now, I think I'd go with A tier with this. Yeah, I think I'm comfortable with A tier. If I change my mind when I do Jurassic Park 2, I will adapt and change it. But as of this episode, I will go with an A tier in the tier ranking. That is about it for BestowCast. That is it for Jurassic Park. The next episode that's coming out is an episode that you all voted for in the members, no, not the members area, in the community area of YouTube, which is I have to watch Thundercats Exodus, which originally I thought was like only an episode or two, and it turns out it's like 5 episodes. I might watch Thundercats Roar, which its premiere episode is also called Exodus. I'll have to look at the 90s, or not the 90s, the 2000s version, and see if that episode's also called Exodus. Should I go for, if it is, maybe I'll go for the Exodus trifecta and talk about all of them. But that's about it. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you have the capacity to become a member, please become a member. But if you don't have the capacity to member, please just subscribe to the channel and ring that bell icon so you can hear more from BestowCast and see some more unboxing videos as they come out. Take care.